A homeless man rescues a child from bullies and discovers a surprising connection to the boy's father. The park was Marcus's haven, a quiet refuge where he could rest beneath the sprawling branches of an ancient oak, its rough bark pressing against his back. For a fleeting moment, he could escape the burdens of his existence, watching the world pass by as if he were invisible. But then, a piercing cry shattered his peace, followed by the harsh cackle of mocking voices. Marcus's gaze darted toward the playground, where a young boy, no older than 7 or 8, stood cornered by a pack of older teens. The boy's face was pale, his small hands gripping his backpack like a lifeline. "Please, just leave me alone," he whispered, his voice drowned by the jeers of his tormentors. Clutching the frayed edges of his coat, Marcus felt a familiar tug of caution urging him to stay out of it. Trouble was something he avoided at all costs. But when the tallest of the teens, his face twisted with a cruel smirk, shoved the boy to the ground, Marcus's resolve wavered. "What? You think you're special 'cause your dad's got money?" the teen taunted, kicking dirt at the fallen child as the others laughed. Marcus's pulse quickened. He recognized that glint of anger in the bully's eyes. It mirrored the rage he'd once carried as a young man, lost and lashing out. But this boy didn't deserve their cruelty. Without a second thought, Marcus pushed himself up from the tree and approached the group, his steps measured but resolute, each one a silent vow. "Hey," he called, his voice steady yet commanding. The bullies, engrossed in their torment, didn't notice him at first. I said, "Hey." The leader finally turned, his amusement fading into annoyance. "What's it to you, old man?" he sneered, puffing out his chest to hide his unease. "Let him be," Marcus said, his eyes fixed on the group. His tone was calm, but there was a quiet strength in it that made the teens hesitate. "Who's gonna stop us?" one of the others scoffed, though he stepped back, uncertain of the stranger before them. Marcus didn't reply. He simply held their gaze, unwavering, as if challenging them to push further. The air grew still, and in that tense silence, the leader seemed to sense the futility of the confrontation. "Whatever, let's go," he muttered, stuffing his hands into his pockets. "This kid's not worth our time." The group slunk away, their bravado fading as Marcus watched until they vanished from sight. Only then did he turn to the boy, who was still on the ground, trembling. "You okay, kid?" Marcus asked, his voice softening as he crouched beside him. The boy looked up, his eyes brimming with tears but wide with gratitude. He nodded, his small frame still shaking. Marcus extended a hand, and after a brief pause, the boy grasped it, letting Marcus pull him to his feet. "Thank you," the boy murmured, hugging his backpack tightly. "No need for thanks," Marcus said, brushing dirt from the boy's shoulder. "Those kids are just cowards hiding behind tough talk." The boy nodded, wiping his eyes with his sleeve. "I'm Lucas," he said, his voice steadier now. "Marcus," he replied, offering a gentle smile. "You shouldn't be out here by yourself. Where's your family?" "My dad's coming to get me," Lucas said, glancing around the park nervously, as if the bullies might return. Marcus took in the boy's appearance for the first time. Expensive sneakers, a sleek backpack, clothes that spoke of a world far removed from his own. Yet in that moment, their differences didn't matter. "Tell you what," Marcus said, his tone reassuring. "I'll stick around until your dad shows up." Lucas's face brightened, and he nodded eagerly. They walked to the bench where Marcus had been sitting, settling down side by side. The silence between them was comfortable, and Lucas seemed to relax, comforted by the presence of someone who had stood up for him. Marcus kept watch on the park's entrance, his senses sharp for any sign of trouble. Soon, a glossy black SUV pulled up, and Lucas's face lit up. Marcus stood as a tall man in a tailored suit stepped out, his eyes immediately finding his son. Dad, Lucas shouted, sprinting toward him. The man's stern expression softened as he knelt to embrace his son. Are you okay, Lucas? What happened? The man asked, his voice laced with concern. Lucas pointed back at Marcus, who stood a few paces away, hands tucked into his pockets. That's Marcus. He stopped some kids from picking on me. The man, William Carter, rose and studied Marcus, his expression polite but guarded. Thank you for looking out for my son, he said, his tone formal. Marcus nodded, meeting William's gaze briefly before looking away. Just glad he's safe. William paused, then placed a hand on Lucas's shoulder, guiding him toward the SUV. We need to go, Lucas. Say goodbye. Lucas glanced back at Marcus, reluctance in his eyes. Bye, Marcus. Thanks again. Stay safe, kid, Marcus said, managing a small smile. He watched as the SUV drove off, leaving him alone in the park once more. As the engine's hum faded, Marcus exhaled and returned to his spot under the oak tree. He pulled his coat tighter against the chill of the autumn breeze and leaned back, closing his eyes. The world resumed its relentless pace, but for a brief moment, Marcus had made a difference. It was a small victory, but enough to carry him through another day. A reminder that, despite his struggles, he still had something to offer. Marcus settled back on the bench, the adrenaline from the encounter ebbing, leaving a familiar ache in his limbs. He thought Lucas and his father would be long gone, but a soft shuffle beside him made him open his eyes. Lucas stood there, clutching his backpack, his expression hesitant. Can I sit with you? Lucas asked, his voice small. Marcus blinked, caught off guard. Shouldn't you be with your dad? He's coming back, Lucas said, glancing toward the park's entrance. He had to take a call. Marcus nodded, shifting to make room on the bench. He wasn't used to company lingering after he'd helped them, but there was a sincerity in Lucas's eyes that kept him from turning the boy away. Sure, kid, have a seat. Lucas clambered onto the bench, his feet dangling above the ground. They sat in silence for a while, the park's sounds, rustling leaves, distant laughter, filling the space between them. Marcus felt Lucas's curious gaze, as if the boy were trying to unravel a puzzle. Why'd you help me? Lucas asked suddenly. Marcus paused, unused to such direct questions, especially from a child. He considered his answer carefully, wanting to be honest. Because you were in trouble, he said simply. No one should face that alone. Lucas frowned, processing the words. But you don't even know me. Marcus chuckled, a soft, breathy sound. Don't have to know someone to help them. Sometimes it's just about doing what's right. Lucas seemed to ponder this, his brow furrowed. Do you live here? He asked, scanning the park as if searching for a hidden home among the trees. Sort of, Marcus said, sidestepping the question. I'm here a lot. Lucas didn't push, but Marcus could see the boy's mind working, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. There was a spark in Lucas that reminded Marcus of his younger self, always questioning, always seeking answers. Do you have kids? Lucas asked, catching Marcus off guard again. No, Marcus said, shaking his head. Never had a family like that. Why not? Lucas pressed, his curiosity innocent but piercing. Marcus hesitated, the weight of his past pressing against him. How could he explain the tangled web of choices and chances that had led him here? He didn't want to burden Lucas with his story. Life just took a different path, he said, hoping it would suffice. Lucas seemed to sense the boundary and nodded, turning his attention back to the park. They sat quietly, the silence warm and easy. Then Lucas spoke again, his voice softer. Do you ever feel lonely? The question hit Marcus like a quiet thunderclap. Loneliness was a constant companion, so familiar he rarely named it. Sometimes, he admitted, his voice low. But you learn to live with it. Lucas fiddled with his backpack's zipper, his expression thoughtful. I get lonely too, he said, almost too quiet to hear. Marcus glanced at the boy, surprised. Lucas had a father, a life that seemed full of comfort, yet loneliness didn't care about wealth or status. "Why's that?" Marcus asked gently, careful not to press too hard. Lucas shrugged, his eyes downcast. "My dad's always working. He's a lawyer, so he's busy a lot. I don't see him much." Marcus nodded, understanding the ache of absence. It was a different kind of loneliness, but no less real. "He loves you, though," Marcus said, trying to offer comfort. "You can see it in the way he ran to you today." Lucas managed a small smile, though the sadness lingered. "Yeah, I know. I just wish he wasn't so busy." Marcus didn't have an answer for that. He couldn't promise things would change, or that life would bend to Lucas's wishes. Instead, he reached out, giving the boy's shoulder a gentle pat. "You're a tough kid. Don't forget that." Lucas looked up, his eyes searching Marcus's face. He seemed about to say something when footsteps interrupted them. William Carter approached, his phone now pocketed, his expression softening as he saw Lucas. He gave Marcus a polite nod. "Thanks for watching him," William said, his tone warmer than before. "No trouble," Marcus replied, standing. "Just glad he's okay." William guided Lucas off the bench, his hand on his son's shoulder. "Come on, Lucas. Let's head home." Lucas hesitated, looking up at Marcus with a question in his eyes. Instead of asking it, he nodded. "Will I see you again?" Marcus glanced at William, who watched him carefully, then back at Lucas. "Maybe." "You take care, kid." Lucas smiled, small but genuine, before letting his father lead him away. Marcus watched them go, his heart lighter than it had been. As they walked, Lucas glanced back and waved. Marcus raised a hand in return, a rare smile tugging at his lips. He lingered in the park until dusk, the fading light casting long shadows. For the first time in years, the weight of his loneliness felt less crushing. He'd connected, however briefly, with someone who saw him not as a drifter, but as a person who'd made a difference. For now, that was enough. William Carter's grip on the steering wheel was tight, his thoughts a tangled mess as he drove through the city. In the back seat, Lucas stared out the window, unusually quiet, his reflection a faint ghost in the glass. William glanced at him through the rearview mirror, concern gnawing at him. Something was troubling his son, but it wasn't just that. The image of Marcus, sitting with Lucas on that bench, lingered in William's mind. Marcus's worn clothes and weary eyes told a story of hardship, one William had seen before in the faces of those society overlooked. He'd always kept Lucas at a distance from that world, not out of indifference, but out of a father's instinct to protect. Yet today, that world had touched his own, stirring unease he couldn't quite name. "Dad?" Lucas's voice broke the silence. "Yeah, buddy," William replied, striving for calm. "Why'd we leave so fast?" Lucas asked, disappointment coloring his tone. William exhaled, choosing his words with care. "I didn't want you out there too long. It's been a tough day." Lucas shifted, fidgeting with his backpack strap. "But Marcus was nice. He helped me when those kids were mean." "I know," William said, softening, "and I'm grateful for that." "Then why'd you act like you didn't want me talking to him?" Lucas's question hung heavy, its innocence piercing. William faltered, unsure how to explain his caution without sounding harsh. He knew the world wasn't simple, but as a father, his priority was Lucas's safety. "Sometimes, people we don't know have their own struggles," he began carefully. "It's not that they're bad, but we need to be cautious." Lucas was quiet, mulling over his father's words. "But you didn't even talk to him. How do you know he's struggling?" William sighed, running a hand through his hair. Lucas's sharpness always caught him off guard. "It's not just what people say, Lucas. It's what you see. Marcus, he might be going through a lot, I just want to keep you safe." But he was safe, Lucas insisted, frustration creeping in. He was the only one who helped me. He didn't ask for anything. He just cared. William's frown deepened, his grip tightening on the wheel. Lucas was right. Marcus had acted selflessly, without expectation. Yet William's protective instincts still flared, clouding his gratitude. They pulled into their driveway, the modern house glowing softly under porch lights. William parked and turned to Lucas, who was still staring out the window. "Listen, Lucas," he said gently. "I'm not saying Marcus is a bad person. He might be a good man who's had a tough time. But as your dad, my job is to make sure you're always safe." Lucas met his father's gaze, his eyes searching. "You're always working, Dad. You're not around a lot. But today, Marcus was there." The words struck William like a blow, their truth cutting deep. He knew his job often kept him from Lucas, knew the hours he spent away were a sacrifice his son felt. Hearing it so plainly, without blame, made it all the more painful. William took a deep breath, his resolve softening. "I know, buddy. I'm sorry. I'll try to be here more, okay?" Lucas nodded, the sadness in his eyes lingering. "Can we see Marcus again?" William hesitated. He wanted to honor Lucas's feelings. Marcus had protected his son after all. But his caution lingered. "I'll think about it," he said, unwilling to promise what he wasn't sure he could deliver. "Let's go inside and have dinner." Lucas nodded, his shoulders slumping as he climbed out of the SUV. William followed, his thoughts heavy as they entered the house. The familiar comfort of home usually eased his mind, but tonight, the unease persisted. Dinner was subdued, the usual banter replaced by quiet reflection. Lucas picked at his food, his thoughts elsewhere. William tried to draw him out, but Lucas's responses were brief, his mind still on Marcus. After dinner, Lucas retreated to his room, leaving William alone at the kitchen table. He leaned back, staring at his empty plate, his mind a storm of conflicting emotions. Gratitude for Marcus's actions, wariness about his intentions, and guilt over his own reaction. Marcus had done what William couldn't. He'd been there for Lucas. Yet William's need to protect had overshadowed his appreciation, leaving him questioning his judgment. William rose and walked to his study, where legal files cluttered his desk. His work defined him. He excelled at it, was respected for it. But it had cost him time with Lucas, moments he couldn't reclaim. He opened a file, but the words blurred, replaced by Lucas's disappointed face. With a sigh, William closed the file and leaned back. He couldn't fix everything through work, nor could he shield Lucas from every pain. But he could try to understand, to be present in ways that didn't come easily. And maybe that meant giving Marcus a chance to prove his worth. William resolved to return to the park, this time with an open heart. Perhaps Marcus wasn't just a man down on his luck, but someone who could teach them both about compassion and presence in a world that often pulled them apart. The thought was unsettling yet hopeful. For now, it was enough to know he could try. The following Saturday brought clear skies, a perfect morning for an outing. William sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, lost in thought as birds chirped outside. Lucas was upstairs, getting ready. Today, they were heading back to the park. The decision had weighed on William all week. His initial hesitation to revisit the park, to risk encountering Marcus again, had softened into a sense of duty. Lucas was right. Marcus had been there when it mattered. The least William could do was meet him with fairness. He wasn't sure what he'd say if they saw Marcus, but the debt he owed for his son's safety was undeniable, even if caution still lingered. William's life was built on control, managing risks in courtrooms and at home. But today, he was stepping beyond that, driven by gratitude and a desire to model trust for Lucas. "Dad, are we going?" Lucas's voice snapped William from his thoughts. The boy stood at the stairs, his baseball cap on, backpack slung over his shoulder, his face alight with excitement. William smiled, pushing his doubts aside. "Yeah, let's go before it gets too warm." The drive to the park was quiet, but the tension from their last trip was gone. Lucas hummed softly, his enthusiasm infectious, while William focused on the road, rehearsing possible conversations with Marcus. The park was alive with activity when they arrived, families strolling, kids playing, joggers circling the paths. William scanned the area, his eyes searching for Marcus's familiar figure. "Do you think Marcus is here?" Lucas asked, his voice hopeful. "Maybe," William said, careful not to raise expectations. "We'll see." They wandered past the playground where the bullying had happened, and William felt a twinge of guilt for how quickly he'd wanted to leave that day. But now, seeing the park vibrant and welcoming, he understood why Lucas wanted to return. There was comfort in its familiarity, despite the memories. As they neared a cluster of trees, William spotted Marcus on a bench, his posture relaxed, but his eyes alert. He wore the same worn jacket, but there was a quiet calm about him that hadn't been there before. He seemed lost in thought until Lucas's shout broke through. "Marcus!" Lucas called, racing toward him. Marcus looked up, surprise giving way to a warm smile. He stood and crouched to meet Lucas at eye level. "Hey, kid," he said, his voice kind. "Didn't expect to see you back so soon." Lucas beamed. "We came to see you. Right, Dad?" William caught up, nodding, feeling a touch awkward, but determined. "Yeah, we thought we'd swing by." Marcus stood, his expression cautious as he met William's gaze. "Glad you did," he said simply. A brief silence followed, neither man sure how to proceed. Lucas broke it, tugging at Marcus's hand. "Want to play catch with us?" Marcus glanced at William, seeking permission. William nodded, offering a small smile. "Sure, if you're up for it." Marcus's smile widened, genuine now. "All right, but I'm not as quick as I used to be." Lucas laughed, pulling a baseball from his backpack and handing it to Marcus before darting a few steps away, his excitement contagious. William watched as Marcus and Lucas tossed the ball, their laughter blending with the park's sounds. He stayed on the sidelines at first, observing Marcus's easy rapport with Lucas. There was patience in the way Marcus played, always encouraging, never letting the ball linger on the ground. He treated Lucas with a respect that William found himself admiring. "Join us," Marcus called to William after a while, tossing the ball with a grin. William caught it, surprised, but warmed by the invitation. He hadn't expected to be included, but Marcus's sincerity was clear. Smiling, William stepped in, throwing the ball to Lucas, who caught it with a triumphant yell. The three played together, the initial awkwardness between William and Marcus fading with each toss. There were no heavy discussions, just the simple joy of a shared moment. William felt himself unwind, letting go of his need to control, if only for now. The sun warmed his skin, and Lucas's laughter filled the air, grounding him in a way he hadn't felt in ages. Marcus wasn't just a stranger who'd helped his son, William realized. He was a man with his own struggles, his own need for connection, and perhaps his own story worth hearing. After an hour, they called it quits, all a bit breathless but smiling. Lucas glowed with joy, his earlier quietness gone. William saw how much this meant to him, how much he'd needed it. "Thanks for playing," Lucas said as they walked toward the park's exit. "Anytime, kid," Marcus replied, ruffling Lucas's hair. He turned to William, his tone shifting. "And thanks for giving me a chance." William met his gaze. "I should be thanking you, Marcus, for what you did for Lucas. I was hesitant at first, but I see now you're a good man." Marcus smiled, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "I've made mistakes, Mr. Carter, but I'm trying to make them right." William nodded, understanding more than he said. Everyone carried regrets. Marcus's path had been hard, but he was still walking it. "Maybe we can help each other," William offered, surprising himself. "If you need anything, just ask." Marcus looked taken aback, but gratitude shone in his eyes. "That means a lot. Thank you." Their eyes met, a quiet understanding passing between them. It wasn't friendship, not yet, but it was a start, a bridge between two different worlds. As they parted, Lucas gave Marcus a final wave, and William felt a calm settle over him. The doubts that had plagued him were quieter now, overshadowed by the sense that he'd done right. Marcus had protected Lucas when William couldn't, and today William had begun to repay that debt. More than that, he'd shown Lucas the value of trust, of giving someone a chance even when it wasn't easy. That filled William with a quiet pride as they drove home, Lucas chattering happily in the back seat. Today had been more than a park visit. It had been a step forward for them all. The next weekend arrived quickly, and William found himself anticipating it more than he'd expected. His week had been packed with court cases and deadlines, but in the quiet moments, his thoughts returned to Marcus. William prided himself on reading people. It was a skill honed in courtrooms. But Marcus defied easy categorization. There was depth to him, layers William wanted to understand. This curiosity, mingled with respect, prompted William to suggest another park visit. Lucas was thrilled, practically vibrating with excitement. William packed a cooler with sandwiches and drinks, a small gesture that felt both ordinary and meaningful. They arrived at the park just before noon, the sun tempered by a gentle breeze. The park buzzed with life, children's laughter, the hum of conversation. As they approached the familiar bench, William saw Marcus sitting there, his posture relaxed, but his gaze thoughtful. "Dad, there he is," Lucas exclaimed, darting ahead. Marcus looked up, his face breaking into a smile as Lucas neared. He stood, crouching to give the boy a high five. By the time William reached them, Lucas was already sharing stories from school, Marcus listening with genuine interest. "Hey, Marcus," William said, nodding. "William," Marcus replied, standing. His voice carried a warmth that felt more familiar now. William lifted the cooler. "We brought lunch. Want to join us?" Marcus's eyes widened briefly, but he nodded. "I'd like that." They settled under a large oak, its shade a welcome relief. William spread out a blanket, and they sat, Lucas diving into his sandwich with gusto. For a while they ate in easy silence, broken only by Lucas's occasional chatter about school or the park. After eating, William decided to address something that had been on his mind. "Marcus," he began carefully, "you mentioned last time about making up for mistakes." Marcus's smile faded slightly, his expression guarded. He set down his water bottle, hands resting in his lap. "Yeah?" William nodded. "I don't want to push, but sometimes talking helps. Sharing your story might be a step forward." Marcus looked away, his gaze distant. For a moment, William feared he'd overstepped. But then Marcus sighed, a heavy sound, and spoke, his voice low. "It's not a pretty story, William." "I've got time," William said, his tone encouraging. Lucas, sensing the shift, looked between them. "Is it a sad story?" Marcus's smile was faint, tinged with sorrow. "Yeah, kid, it's sad." William rested a hand on Lucas's shoulder, then turned to Marcus. "We're here." Marcus gathered his thoughts, then began, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. "I wasn't always like this," he said, gesturing to his worn clothes. "I had a life, a good one. Grew up in a decent area, went to school, worked as a mechanic. Loved it. There's something honest about fixing things." William listened, nodding as Marcus continued. "But life doesn't always go as planned," Marcus said, his voice darkening. "I fell in with the wrong people, old friends. We started drinking, using drugs to cope. It was casual at first, but it spiraled. Lost my job, my place, everything. He paused, swallowing hard. I tried to get clean, but it's hard with no one in your corner. Eventually, I stopped trying, figured this was my life now. Lucas watched, his eyes wide, absorbing the weight of Marcus's words. William felt a tightness in his chest, the story hitting close to home. What happened next? William asked softly. Marcus shrugged, the gesture heavy. I drifted. Ended up on the streets, just surviving. I used to fix things, but I couldn't fix myself. I was angry, for years. But that anger, it destroys you. He looked at his scarred hands. I've been clean for a while, but it's a fight every day. Sometimes I wonder if it's worth it. William felt a surge of respect for Marcus's resilience. You're still here, he said firmly. And you saved my son. That makes you worth something. Marcus met his gaze, his eyes shimmering with gratitude and doubt. I want to believe that. Hearing it helps. Lucas spoke up, his voice earnest. You're a good person, Marcus. You helped me when no one else did. Marcus's expression softened, and he ruffled Lucas's hair. Thanks, kid. That means a lot. A quiet moment followed, the weight of Marcus's story settling over them. William saw the toll of Marcus's past, but also his determination to keep going. Marcus, William said, his voice steady. I want to help. I'm not sure how yet, but we'll figure it out together. Marcus looked surprised. You don't have to, William. I've accepted where I'm at. It's not pity, William said firmly. It's because I believe in second chances, and you've earned one. Marcus studied William, searching for ulterior motives. Finding none, he nodded slowly. All right. I don't know where to begin, but all right. William smiled, a sense of purpose settling in. We'll take it one step at a time. As they packed up, William felt a spark of hope. Marcus's journey was far from over, but they were on the right path. Lucas walked between them, holding their hands, the sunset casting a warm glow over the park. William felt they were all healing, in their own way. This was the start of something new, a chance for redemption for all of them. Monday brought a new sense of purpose for William. He'd arranged a job interview for Marcus at a local auto repair shop, a reputable place known for quality work. Given Marcus's experience as a mechanic, William believed it could be a perfect fit. Driving Lucas to school, William glanced at the clock. He had time before the interview. Lucas was quiet, his usual chatter replaced by thoughtfulness. Excited for school? William asked. Lucas shrugged. Yeah, I guess. William sensed more. You okay? Lucas looked up, his eyes hopeful, yet worried. I hope Marcus gets the job. He's so nice, Dad. I want him to be happy. William smiled, proud of Lucas's compassion. Me too, buddy. We'll do what we can to help him. Lucas nodded, his face brightening. Thanks, Dad. At the shop, William arrived early to ensure everything was ready. The place hummed with activity. Mechanics working, tools clanking, the air thick with the scent of oil. The owner, Tom, a gruff but fair man, greeted William with a firm handshake. Morning, William, Tom said, wiping his hands. Ready? William nodded, nerves mixing with determination. Marcus will be here soon. Tom glanced at the clock. Got time. Want a tour? William followed Tom through the shop, impressed by its order amid the chaos. Tom's pride in his work was clear as he explained operations. So, what's Marcus's deal? Tom asked. William chose his words carefully. He's had a tough time but knows his way around a car. He's trying to turn things around. I think he's worth a shot. Tom nodded thoughtfully. Everyone's got a story. It's what they do with it that matters. Before William could reply, Marcus arrived, looking nervous but determined in his clean but worn clothes. He carried a duffel bag, his face a mix of resolve and anxiety. Hey, Marcus, William said, offering a reassuring smile. Marcus nodded, his smile tentative. "Hey, William." Tom stepped forward, shaking Marcus's hand. "Tom, ready for this?" "Yes, sir," Marcus said, nodding. "As ready as I'll be." "Let's do it," Tom said, leading Marcus to a back office. William sat outside, catching fragments of the interview through the thin walls. Marcus spoke about his experience, his skills, and his commitment to staying clean. His voice was steady, though laced with uncertainty. When the door opened, Marcus emerged, his face tense with anticipation. Tom followed, his expression neutral. "Thanks for coming, Marcus," Tom said, shaking his hand. "We'll be in touch." Marcus nodded, then turned to William. "How'd I do?" "I think you did great," William said, trying to sound optimistic. Tom seemed impressed. Marcus managed a hopeful smile. Fingers crossed. They left the shop, Marcus's steps slow and thoughtful. William sensed the weight of the moment. "Want to grab a coffee?" he offered. Marcus shook his head, grateful but introspective. "Thanks, but I need to think things over." "All right," William said. "Just know you've got us in your corner." Marcus met his gaze, gratitude mingling with nerves. "Thanks, William." As Marcus walked away, William felt a pang of empathy. The interview's outcome was uncertain, but Marcus's courage was undeniable. Driving home, William hoped this would be the break Marcus needed, not just for stability, but for purpose. Lucas was waiting when William got home, his eyes wide with curiosity. "Did Marcus get the job?" "We don't know yet," William said, smiling. "Tom will let us know soon." Lucas's face fell, but he stayed hopeful. "I hope he gets it. He deserves it." William hugged him, proud of his son's heart. "So do I, buddy." That evening, as they ate dinner, the doorbell rang. William opened it to find Marcus, tired but smiling. "Hey, Marcus," William said, stepping aside. "How was the first day?" Marcus stepped in, his smile warm. "It was good. Busy, but good." Everyone was welcoming. Lucas ran up, beaming. "Did you fix cars?" Marcus laughed. "Yeah, a couple of engines and some maintenance. Felt good to be back." William noted the change in Marcus, a quiet confidence replacing his earlier nerves. The job was more than work. It was a chance to reclaim himself. They sat for dinner, Marcus sharing stories from the shop, the conversation easy. After, he helped Lucas with homework, offering patient guidance. The evening felt natural, a blend of laughter and connection. As Marcus left, William felt content. Marcus's first day had been a success, a sign of brighter days ahead. It wasn't just about the job, it was about hope and new beginnings. Tucking Lucas into bed, William reflected on Marcus's progress. The road ahead was long, but Marcus was moving forward. Helping him had become more than a gesture. It was a chance to make a real difference. William turned off the light, a quiet hope settling in. The future was uncertain, but it felt full of possibility. Wednesday brought a light rain, the streets glistening as William sipped coffee at the kitchen table. His phone buzzed, Tom's name on the screen. His heart raced as he answered. "William Carter." "Hey, William," Tom said. "We're offering Marcus the job. He starts Monday." Relief flooded William. "That's fantastic." "Thanks, Tom." "No problem," Tom said. "He's got skills. He'll do well here." William hung up, a smile spreading across his face. Marcus had done it. He grabbed his jacket and headed to the park, the drizzle barely registering. The park was quiet, the rain keeping most away. Marcus sat on their bench, staring at the ground. "Marcus," William called, approaching. Marcus looked up, cautious. "Good news." William grinned. Tom called. "You start Monday?" Marcus's eyes widened, then a broad smile broke out, full of relief. "For real?" "Absolutely," William said. Tom was impressed. "This is your chance." Marcus exhaled, tension easing. Thank you, William. I was scared I'd blown it. You didn't, William said. You were honest, and you showed them your worth. Marcus's smile held. This is what I've been waiting for. It means everything. William nodded, satisfied. You earned it. If you need anything, I'm here. As they walked, Marcus seemed lighter, the rain a mere backdrop to his newfound hope. Told anyone else? William asked as they neared the playground. Not yet, Marcus said. Wanted to be sure. William smiled. Lucas will be thrilled. They reached the playground where Lucas ran toward them. Did Marcus get the job? He did, William said, ruffling Lucas's hair. Starts Monday. Lucas's face lit up. That's awesome, Marcus. Marcus laughed, his joy genuine. Thanks, kid. They spent the afternoon in the park, Marcus and Lucas playing on the swings, their laughter echoing. William watched, content, seeing the impact Marcus was already having on Lucas. As the sun set, painting the sky in vibrant hues, William felt a deep satisfaction. Marcus's job was a step toward stability, a chance to rebuild. At the SUV, Marcus turned to William, serious but hopeful. I can't thank you enough. You earned it, William said, clapping his shoulder. Keep at it. Marcus nodded, gratitude in his eyes. I will. Driving home, Lucas chattered about Marcus's job, his excitement infectious. William felt fulfilled. Helping Marcus had made a tangible difference. As they pulled into the driveway, William glanced at Lucas, grateful for their bond and the chance to help others. The future was uncertain, but it brimmed with hope. Marcus's first day at the shop arrived with a mix of excitement and nerves. William had offered to drive him, a small gesture Marcus appreciated. In the SUV, Marcus gripped his jacket, staring out at the city. Ready? William asked. Marcus nodded, uncertainty in his eyes. Yeah. Nervous, but ready. Been a while? It's normal, William said. You've got the skills. Just show them what you can do. Marcus smiled faintly. Thanks for the ride. It's small, but it helps. Least I can do, William said. At the shop, the morning shift was in full swing. Tools clanking, engines humming. William parked and turned to Marcus. This is it. One step at a time. You've got this. Marcus took a deep breath. See you after. Good luck, William said, patting his shoulder. Marcus headed into the shop, and William watched, hopeful. It was a big day, the start of a new chapter. At home, Lucas was waiting, eager for news. How'd it go? William knelt, smiling. Marcus did well. He was nervous, but it's a great start. Lucas beamed. I'm so happy for him. William ruffled his hair, proud. Me too. Later, Marcus texted. First day went well. Tired, but good. Thanks. William smiled, relieved. When Lucas saw the message, he grinned. I can't wait to see him. That evening, Marcus stopped by, tired but content. Busy day, he told William, but it felt right. Lucas ran up. Fix any cars? Marcus laughed. A few. Felt good. Over dinner, Marcus shared stories, his confidence growing. After, he helped Lucas with homework, their bond evident. The evening was warm, filled with laughter. As Marcus left, William felt fulfilled. Marcus's first day was a success, a sign of progress. Tucking Lucas in, William reflected on the journey. Helping Marcus was about more than a job. It was about hope and connection. Turning off the light, William felt optimistic. The road was long, but the future looked bright. The weeks that followed were a blur for Marcus. Early mornings and long hours defined his routine, but the job brought a sense of purpose. Yet the shadows of his past lingered, and William noticed signs of strain. One evening at dinner, Marcus seemed distracted, barely engaging, as Lucas shared a school story. You okay? William asked. Marcus forced a smile. Yeah, just a long day. William wasn't convinced, but didn't push. Marcus was trying to manage alone, a common trait for someone in his position. The next morning, William saw Marcus outside his apartment, frowning at his phone. "Morning," William said, approaching. "Everything all right?" Marcus looked up, surprised. "Hey, just a rough start. Got some bills piling up." William nodded, sensing deeper troubles. "Need help?" Marcus hesitated, then shook his head. "It's financial stuff. I'll figure it out." William rested a hand on his shoulder. "If you need to talk, I'm here. Sometimes it helps." Marcus nodded, grateful but reserved. "Thanks. I'll manage." William left for work, concerned. Marcus was juggling more than just a new job. Later, Marcus called, asking to adjust his schedule. "Things are hectic," he said, strain in his voice. "Everything okay?" William asked. "I'm managing," Marcus said, but his tone betrayed him. William spent the day thinking about Marcus, knowing support had to be balanced with respect for his pride. That evening, he visited Marcus's apartment, determined to help. Marcus opened the door, surprised but welcoming. "Hey, William. Just checking in," William said, stepping inside. "How's it really going?" Marcus sighed, relief in his eyes. "It's tough. Work's demanding, and the bills are overwhelming." William saw the stack of unopened bills on the table. "Let's go through this together. I can help with advice or resources." Marcus's shoulders slumped slightly. "I'd appreciate that. It's been a lot." They spent the evening sorting paperwork, William offering budgeting tips and resource suggestions. By the end, Marcus looked lighter. The burden eased. "Thanks, William," Marcus said. "I needed this." "No problem," William said. "You're doing great. Everyone needs help sometimes." Leaving the apartment, William felt purposeful. Supporting Marcus was about more than kindness. It was about helping him rebuild, step by step. At home, Lucas was asleep, dreaming of Marcus's success. William reflected on Marcus's progress, committed to supporting him through the challenges ahead. As he settled in for the night, William felt confident. Marcus's path was tough, but with support, it was leading to a brighter future. Marcus's days settled into a rhythm of hard work and quiet progress. The job gave him purpose, but the weight of his past lingered, a constant reminder of how far he'd fallen. Yet small victories, like a well-fixed engine or a kind word from a coworker, began to chip away at his doubts. One Friday, William and Lucas visited Marcus's apartment with a small gift. Lucas had drawn a picture of the park, eager to share it. They arrived as Marcus returned from a late shift, the city's hum a soft backdrop. Marcus opened the door, his face brightening. "Hey guys, what's this?" Lucas held up the drawing, beaming. "I made this for you. It's the park where we play." Marcus took it, his eyes softening. "This is incredible, Lucas. Thanks." William smiled, noting Marcus's relaxed posture. "Thought it might cheer you up. How's work?" Marcus sighed, exhaustion evident. "Busy, but I'm getting the hang of it." Lucas explored the apartment, curious. "Got weekend plans?" "Not really," Marcus said. "Maybe rest and tidy up." William sensed Marcus needed a break. "Want help? We could organize, then grab dinner." Marcus hesitated, then nodded, grateful. That'd be nice. They spent hours cleaning, Lucas sorting items with enthusiasm. Marcus seemed to enjoy the company, the distraction easing his stress. As they worked, William spoke. "You're making progress, Marcus. Not just with the job, but with everything." Marcus looked around, the organized space reflecting his efforts. "It's starting to feel real. I'm seeing a way forward." William nodded. "Small wins matter, and it's okay to lean on us." Marcus's expression softened. "I'm learning that asking for help isn't failing. It's part of moving on." They finished and headed to a nearby diner, the atmosphere warm and relaxed. Over burgers, Lucas shared school stories, Marcus and William talking easily about life and work. Marcus's laughter was genuine, his demeanor lighter. After dinner, they walked back, saying goodbye at Marcus's door. "Thanks for today," Marcus said, smiling. It meant a lot. "Anytime," William said, clapping his shoulder. "We're in this together." Marcus nodded, his eyes warm. "I know." "Thanks." Driving home, Lucas was quiet, thoughtful. "What's up, buddy?" William asked. "I think Marcus is happy again," Lucas said. "He's finding his way." William smiled, touched. "Yeah, he is. And your drawing helped." Lucas grinned, proud. "I'm glad." At home, William reflected as he tucked Lucas in. Marcus was rebuilding, and their support was making a difference. It wasn't just about work. It was about rediscovering joy and hope. Turning off the light, William felt fulfilled. The journey was ongoing, but each step forward was a testament to resilience and connection. The future was uncertain, but it glowed with possibility.